We're coming up on the end of 2023, and what a year it has been. This time of year, December, is a great time to be reflective and thinking about all of the things that we did or did not accomplish in the year past. But now is also a great time to think about the future and what are we going to do in 2024? What are our goals for next year? And so I usually spend the time between Christmas and New Year's, that last week of December. That's a week where I do a lot of that self-reflection and think about what's happened. And then going forward, what am I going to do in the following year? What's important to me? What goals do I want to set? And how am I going to achieve those goals? Just like businesses go through strategy planning, we as executives should also be strategically planning out the next 1, 3, 5, or 10 years even of our lives. And so today I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the Executive Career Accelerator program. We spent some time over the last 2 weeks talking about strategic planning for businesses and corporations. I'm not going to talk about that today, but the second part that we talked about was strategic planning for yourselves. How can you apply the principles of strategic planning for corporations to yourself? Now, there was a really cool article that came out in Harvard Business Review, and you should be seeing it on your screen now. This article was really great. It talked about how you can map all of the things that we do as executives as we think strategically about our businesses, how you can map them back to your personal life and your career. And HBR, the authors, did a good job of breaking down things into 6 sub areas of your life that you can focus on. I use something very similar but different, and I'm going to walk you through my tools and what I use as just an example, but I definitely encourage you to check out that HBR article, Harvard Business Review article. The link will be in the description of this video. Super valuable to me, and I just appreciate that they were thinking about things very similarly to how I think about them. So with that, I'm going to start walking you through the lesson that we gave in the Executive Career Accelerator program just this past week internally. So this is a sneak peek into the program as well. So as I mentioned to you, as part of the Executive Career Accelerator program, we were talking about strategic planning for corporations, but also for ourselves. And so what I want to do right now is I want to walk you through what you see on your screen, the strategic planning guide, specifically the personal strategic planning section. I love this quote from Bill Gates. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. Now think about that. What can we get done in the next year? Well, we can get a lot done, but what can we get done in the next decade? For example, if I really wanted to become an ultra runner, I can run maybe a mile or 2 right now, but I want to run a 50K or a 100K race, right? Can I do that in a year? Probably not. Can I do it in a decade? Probably. So sometimes it's good to really broaden your time horizon as you think about things. And I'll just show you quickly a sneak peek of this. When you do strategic planning for your business, you're going to review the year in review. You're going to set your vision for the next year, define your strategy, assemble and review the strategy as components from different parts of the organization, and then present that vision and strategy to everybody so that everybody's on the same page. We do something similar, but a little bit different for personal strategic planning. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So strategic planning is not just for corporations. It can be for individuals too. And I find this to be very effective. I'm someone who's driven by goals. I need to have goals in my life so that I know where I'm trying to go. The goals can change, and they're arbitrary metrics that I've decided help me get where I want to go. But like I said, every year between Christmas and New Year's, I usually take that time to really think about what really is important to me. So I'll go through this process that I'm going to show you right now every year. And I've been doing this for about 15 years now. And it's gotten better over time to the point where it's pretty refined now. But generally, I've been doing this most of my adult life. So let's talk first about this personal strategic planning framework. So the framework that I use looks like this. In 1 year, in 3 years, and in 10 years, I will accomplish the following. And then I've defined 5 areas of my life that I'm most focused on in terms of continuous improvement. The first is career or business goals. Career goals if I'm working for a company, business goals if I'm running a company. So that's how I think about this. But my career or business goals are the first thing on this list. The next is health goals. And these can be physical health primarily is what I'm referring to here. So am I able to run a certain distance? Can I do a triathlon? Can I fit into certain clothes? How do I feel physically? Obviously, health health goals have become very important to me, given everything that's happened over the last 18 months with cancer and everything. So like my health goals are important to me now. Wealth goals, and this is basically greater than like if career and business is about what my income is, wealth goals is what am I doing with that money? Where am I spending it? Where is that money going? And what is it doing for me? Mindset goals. These are super powerful, super valuable, and they've become important for me, especially over the last year, more so than they were in the past. But mindset goals, this is my mental well-being, my mental health, my ability to concentrate and think clearly about things, and how comfortable and confident I am in what I'm doing and who I am and all of those things. So I think a lot about mindset goals for the year. And then finally, relationship goals, which actually are the most important on this list, so they shouldn't be last, but relationship goals that I have with my wife, my children, my friends and family, and so forth. I think about these things. I will accomplish the following, and I try to come up with, in 1 year, my career will do X. In 3 years, my career will do Y. And in 10 years, my career will be Z. And I think about that, and I write those down in some list. After that, when I take a look at specifically the 1 year plan, I will start by thinking about things in the largest time frame, so 10 years. In 10 years, I want my business to be set up in a way that I'm basically retired. I'm not working. The business is working itself, and I just collect royalty checks, and I'm taking my wife on river cruises in Europe and train rides across Australia and stuff like that. So that's how I think about things 10 years out. How do I get there? Well, in 3 years, I have to be doing something. And so what can I do this year? What are the things that I need to accomplish this year to move towards that 10-year goal? Then I will start to create a plan. And the planning is where the magic happens, because you can have these goals and these ideas about what you want to accomplish, but they're not very valuable if you don't actually have a plan on how to actually get there. And that's where this whole process really shines. So I will create a career plan. I will create a health plan, a wealth plan, a mindset plan, and a relationship plan. And these last two, mindset and relationships, they're not really necessarily like plans so much as they are like, I need to have areas of focus. So I need to focus on, for example, in 2024, I may choose to focus on meditation for mindset, or I may choose to focus on constantly reminding myself to be the confident version of myself that I need to be in order to do the things that I'm trying to do, or whatever that looks like. Relationships, I want to focus more on my time with my wife and my two teenage children who are just years away from leaving the nest forever. My oldest is a senior in high school. My youngest, she's a sophomore in high school. And so like for me, it's important that I spend time with them while I can. And that's going to be a focus of mine in 2024, especially with my oldest leaving for college. So that's how I put together an action plan. And the format of this doesn't matter as much as these two critically important components. You need to have goals that are specific, measurable, and actually attainable in the time frame defined. And you need to have an action plan that you can follow to achieve that goal. And so here's what I mean by this. When you set a goal, in 1 year, my business, like if I say in 1 year, my business will be worth $1 billion, it's not really an achievable goal. Like it'd be great if it was, but it's not really an achievable goal. And so it's not realistic, and that would be useless for me to say something like that. I could say in 1 year, my business is worth $3 million, and that would be a realistic goal, or $10 million, or whatever the number is, as long as it's realistic. I think that's what you want to focus on is, yes, set big, hairy, audacious goals, but don't set goals that you know you're not going to accomplish because you won't be motivated to actually follow the plan to get there. So you have to be able to see how you can get there by doing the actions in the strategic plan. If your goal is ridiculous, then you're not going to lean into the work to actually achieve that ridiculous goal. If your goal is achievable, you will lean into the work. You also want to be careful not to set too easy of a goal that you like finish it in February and now it's like, well, now what? So you can also be constantly, changing your goals based on new experiences and things as well. But this helps you aim yourself in the right direction and think logically about what you can actually do to accomplish those goals. So here is the process that I use to actually go through the personal strategic planning that I do. So just like corporate strategy planning, you start out by zooming way out and reflect on where you are in your life journey. This is important because context helps with everything. When you zoom out and realize that you're halfway through a life lived, maybe a third of the way through, but you are a part of the way through a life that you are living, and there is a beginning and an end to that life, whether we like it or not. Our lives will begin and our lives will end here on earth. In that time, what do you want to accomplish with your life? What are your goals for life? What are you trying to do? Why do you work? Why do you work at the company you work at? Why do you do the job that you do there? What are the reasons you do that? The answers may be, well, this is the only job that I can find that makes money for me. And I get that, but zoom out and realize that 8 billion other people have different jobs than you have. And they figure out different ways to get to basically where you are, living your life in the way that you are. Just understand that when you zoom out, you realize that we've been staring at this very narrow and myopic view of our life, and maybe there's more to it. Zooming out and thinking about the big picture helps you have some perspective as you go through this process. It's an important part of this, is to have that open-mindedness and perspective that the world can be different than what you think it is right now. One of the things that I have all of my clients do, and I find this to be very valuable to do myself from time to time, is to conduct a SWOT. Is a tool that's used in the corporate world basically to measure the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to an organization. Strengths and weaknesses are intrinsic to the organization. Opportunities and threats are external to the organization. And of course, you have strengths and opportunities are the positive side, and weaknesses and threats are on the negative side. You create this kind of 4-square chart that helps you understand a SWOT. So in these 4 squares, you're basically filling out your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities that you have, and the threats to your life or the way that things are working right now. So put those together. That's a great place to start so that you understand what you're working with and what challenges and opportunities are in front of you. And I recommend doing this every year because you're going to see new opportunities that you didn't see last year and new threats that you didn't see last year. And maybe some of your strengths got stronger and your weaknesses got a little bit better. So work through that every year on a regular basis. The next thing you want to do is you want to set your vision. What kind of person do you want to become? What version of you makes you the most proud to wake up as? What would your life be like if you were this highest, best version of yourself? I worry about someday meeting the highest, best version of myself and what he could have been had I always made the right choice at every point in my life. I mean, it's impossible to be the highest, best version of yourself at any given time because you can always improve. But if you think about what if I were to meet the version of myself that was the highest, best version, I would feel like less than in comparison to that individual. And so that's something I think a lot about, well, what is your vision for what you can be and what can you become and how do you drive towards that? So setting your vision for who you are or what you want to accomplish, that's a big part of this. It's a big part of the program that we teach here at Executive Career Accelerator. The beginning portion of the program, Module 1, is all about this kind of thinking. Next, you want to recommit to your values and remind yourself what's important in life. You're not just work or at home. Remember that we're all in a shared journey in a really cool era. We live in an era of amazing enlightenment and connectivity. There's also pain and suffering and lies and awful, terrible things in the world. But for the first time in humanity's history, we have the ability to connect with everybody on the planet at the same time. That's amazing. And we have recorded more history and more truth than ever in the history of humanity right now. So having those things available gives us something really exciting to think about. What do you want to do with this gift of life in this era and time? What big picture things light you up when you think about them, and how can you have more of those in your life? So you can see what I'm doing here is after the SWOT, you're setting a vision, which is kind of a very high level picture, and then you're recommitting to your values of who you are, what's important to you. And then with that, only then can you really go about actually setting your goals? Because if you don't start at the beginning and talk about the great big picture of life, then any goals, it doesn't matter. You don't really know where you're trying to go. You don't know where home is. You don't know what true north is. If you don't define true north for yourself, the compass will never work. So you have to do these things up here to set your vision and choose your values so that when you set goals, they actually are trying to take you to the place you want to go. So when you have that, you want to create what are called SMART goals. And hopefully by now you know what SMART goals are, but I'll just walk through the definition very briefly and say that SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, I actually, as opposed to relevant, I actually prefer the term realistic because I think the goals, of course, are going to be relevant to what you're setting a goal for. If they're health goals, they should very well be health-related goals, right? You're not going to put money goals in your health category. But I think it's important to remember to set realistic goals. So specific goals are well-defined and clear. They're not vague or general. Measurable is so there's a number attached to them. I can do X number of things, or I I eat Y number of calories or whatever, right? Make sure that they're achievable and relevant or realistic, however you want to think about it. And then finally, time bound. Like, I will lose 12 pounds in the next 3 months. That is a reasonable goal. It's realistic. It's time bound. It's specific. It's measurable, and it is attainable. All of these things, right? So you want to set a goal for each aspect of your life. And just what we talked about up above, for me, that's business, health, wealth, personal development, which I refer to as mindset, and relationships. Business, health, wealth, personal development, and relationships. And so when I build my 2024 goals, that's what I'll focus on. I will create goals for my career, or in this case, my business, my health goals, my wealth goals, my mindset focus, and my relationship areas of focus. So for example, when I set my goals for 2024, they're probably going to look something like this. For career or business goals, Vertical Motion will generate some number in net income for our family in 2024. So I can measure that. I can make this, we will generate X money per month, or I can say X money per quarter or X money per year, whatever. And so I can choose a specific amount, and I can choose a specific time frame, and I will choose numbers that are realistic for that time frame. Number two, for my health goals, I will hit a specific weight goal and a specific running distance goal. So my goal is to run 200 miles or to be able to run a half marathon by a certain date, something like that. I will choose specific, measurable, and realistic goals. And then, number three, we'll be able to afford a new home. That's something that, my family and I are talking about. We want to afford a new home and pay for our oldest son's college tuition. So those are wealth goals. Like, what am I using my money for? If we collect money and we save more than we spend, what do we do with that money? Well, for us, the thought is that we are able to move into a new home and pay for our son's upcoming college tuition bill. And he chose a very expensive school. So we have a lot of money to put together for him. Anyway, number four, I want to have the mindset of a leader who can speak to thousands of people with confidence. That's something that I'm very mindful of for 2024, is that I'm starting to get comfortable here on YouTube in front of the camera. That took a lot of work in 2023 for me to get this comfortable talking to a camera. In 2024, I want to be able to be comfortable talking to a room of people and hopefully changing their perspectives about their lives and their careers. And then finally, number five, I will lean in even further to my amazing marriage and enjoy the little time left that I have with my teenage kids before they grow up and move out. And as I mentioned, my oldest is going to college and my youngest is now a sophomore in high school. And so I don't have many years left with them. We've had them in our house for, 17 and 15 years respectively. And pretty soon they're not going to be there anymore. So I want to lean into my time with them before they're gone forever. So from here, once I've set my goals, now I need to build an action plan. What does that look like? Once you define your goals in each category, you can then build a plan for how you go from A to B. So, and really it's that simple. Like, what you're trying to do is figure out what is the straightest, fastest, highest probable course of action to get you to where you want to go. What things can you do so that these goals that you've set, you can accomplish them? And you're using all of your resources to do those things. You're using your time, you're using your money, you're using your relationships, you're using your willpower and your discipline, and you're using your money in order to achieve some of these goals. What are the things that you use? How are you going to deploy resources to actually achieve these goals? So I'm going to use the example here. Let's say you're somebody who makes $130,000 a year, just making a number up. You make $130,000 a year as a manager or a junior director or something like that. And you've decided, and in 2024, you're going to take control of your executive career and you want to become a vice president and make $200,000 a year or more. And you want to do that in 2024, in the next 12 months. So what are the highest leverage things that you can do to make that happen? Well, you need to learn how to become a vice president. You have to learn the job of a vice president. What does she or he do that you would be doing every day? You have to learn the mindset of an executive, right? You have to learn how to find VP jobs and executive level jobs. You don't find very many of them on LinkedIn. 70% are never posted online. And so you need to figure out how to work this hidden network of executives to find this executive level jobs. You need to learn how to nail the interview. And there's a whole bunch of other things that you need to know, right? So from my perspective, if this was me, I would hire a coach to help me short circuit that effort. Haha, funny enough, I am actually a coach that teaches this. I'm just using this as an example for you to understand why you would do something like this. So hire an executive coach who teaches you what to know is extremely effective use of your time, right? So you're using time and money to accomplish a goal. If you didn't invest in an executive career coach, you would just have to invest more time to learn these things yourself the hard way by Google searches and other ways and watching YouTube videos. But if you work with a coach, the coach will tell you, focus on this, don't worry about that. This is how it's done. This is how it's not done. Here's what no one tells you. And you learn all of those things by working with a coach, as opposed to trying to figure it all out on your own. When you deploy time and money towards a goal, you get that goal accomplished with more certainty and more value. Now, you can waste time and you can waste money. You can throw a whole bunch of money at a program and not spend any time or focus on it. You will have wasted your money. You can also waste your time by learning things the hard way. It took me 13 years to learn how to be a highly effective executive. And it was 13 years that I was an executive, and I just got slowly better over time. Now, had I hired a coach 13 years ago, maybe I would be a much better executive earlier in my career. So that's the point. Once you have this idea, you create this career goal. I will become a vice president by the end of 2024, and I will make $200,000. So I will become a vice president, make $200K by the end of 2024. So what is your action plan for your career? 1, find and hire the best executive career coach for you. You need to find someone who can help you build your career roadmap, you build your executive presence and other executive skills like networking, communication, time management, creating strategy, so forth. You need someone who can teach you how to build your executive network the right way, help you find VP level roles that fit you, show you how to interview at the executive level, and then walk you through the interview negotiation and the first 90 days, which, spoiler alert, yes, my program, the Executive Career Accelerator, does all of these things. If you're interested, yes, you can book a call to have a conversation with me about joining the program. But I'm just using this as an example. So what you can do then, so first you find and hire the best executive career coach for you. The next thing you do is you dedicate time. Here, find and hire, you are deploying capital, you're deploying cash, you are investing money into this goal. Down here, now you are investing time into that goal. You're going to dedicate 4 to 8 hours every week towards your career growth plan. So you're going to lean into the process that coach outlines for you. And you're going to spend time in the program with other like-minded people trying to move up just like you. And you will be with people who have moved up. Now you have executives in your program, now in your network. And so you want to think about this in terms of investing money and then investing time. Then there's other things you invest in. You might invest in, coaching, additional coaching or other things, headshots, content creation tools, LinkedIn resume updates, which are actually a part of our program, but other things that you need to invest in as well. And this could also be investing time in your workplace, in your company, leaning into conversations with your leadership team about, I am ready to grow. Can we build a growth path for me internally? Which we're going to talk about in another video, how you can grow internally or externally. But the point is that there are other things that you can invest in besides like a coach and your time. So you can invest money and time and other things into this action plan. And then finally, you want to track your progress. You want to have some sort of measurement sticks along the way. What have you accomplished? How many interviews have you had? How many executives have you added to your network? How much better at public speaking or interviewing are you than you were when you started the program? All of those things become part of your action plan. And so this is a very high level action plan here, but it's meant to be. Most of these are high level. From here, you then can break down by month 1, month 2, I'll accomplish these things. Or by Q1, Q2, I'll accomplish these things. Just like we do with strategic planning in organizations, you can do the same thing for yourself. So you set these strategic goals and then you create these action plans and you follow these action plans. And then these action plans can be very high level like this, or they can also be very detail oriented as well. So that is how you do personal strategic planning. And I hope this was useful to you. This is a tool that I've used, like I said, throughout my life. Really over the last 15 years, I've been building my annual strategic plans this way. Sometimes they get very detailed. Like when I think about all of the things that I'm trying to resolve in terms of my health. After cancer, I had all of these issues that were just like these nagging metabolic endocrine type, issues with hormone imbalances and just all these weird things. And I've just decided to put the hammer down on fixing these metabolic issues once and for all. So for me right now, health is very top of mind, and I have a very detailed health plan, where I may not have as detailed plan for mindfulness or with relationships right now, but I will invest time in those later on. So you can put the time and energy where it's going to be best used for you to move forward in achieving your goals. I hope this was helpful to you. If you want to learn more about this, you can book a call with me where we can talk about how we can help you achieve your 2024 executive career goals. You feel stuck, if you feel lost in your career, if you're frustrated that there doesn't seem to be any way up, or it seems like everyone's moving up and you're not, and it's because who they know, it's not because of who they know. It's because of who you need to become. So I can help you become the version of yourself that becomes an executive. Let's get on a call and have a conversation about that. You can book a call with the link down below. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you will take the time this year to do some strategic planning, and I will see you in the next one.